because I'm not anyone's friend, right? I'm not here to be your friend, but I do care about you. But I also have to be able to have difficult conversations, have that radical candor with you when things aren't working well. But now, looking back, I think that you can have both. I do care about you, and I care about you so much that I have to be honest about your performance or about your trajectory. And I think that from a manager, that is the best way to lead and the best gift that you could give your team.
You're now listening to a new episode of Gratitude Through Hard Times. Gratitude instills humility. Gratitude removes the ego. Gratitude helps empower the best in others around you. Our goal is to guide individuals and companies to practice gratitude so you can live a longer, happier, and more successful life. Get ahead of life with connection and purpose. This is Gratitude Through Hard Times with Chris Shembra.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Gratitude Through Hard Times. It's your host, Chris Shembra, and today I'm broadcasting live from beautiful and lively New York City. It is a couple days after the Knicks won their first NBA championship in 53 years, and you can feel the spirit in the air. I'm just so excited to see where the momentum of this city takes us and how it inspires others to lean into connection and community and shared purpose. And those are some of the themes of today's conversation. To all our loyal listeners, it's good to see you, old friend. You know, some of my favorite moments throughout the week are when you email in your thoughts, questions, comments about today's episode guest. Your support over the last almost 11 years is what's given us permission to dive deeper and deeper into this work around pasta sauce and human connection. So it's good to see you, old friend. To all the new listeners of this podcast, it's nice to meet you. I have no clue how you stumbled upon our humble, cozy little corner of the internet, but it's nice to meet you. If you were in New York City, I'd actually give you a hug and welcome you with a seat at our table for a little bowl of pasta sauce. So reach out next time you're in town. Maybe you were sent this episode from a friend as a way for them to say, you matter. I see you. You're doing the work. Keep going. Maybe you Googled today's guest and you were absolutely enthralled by the topic, whatever it took you to get here. We're glad you made it. We're going to invite you to click that subscribe button by the end of the podcast, and I really hope you enjoy this episode. If you came here for a go-to-market strategy or how to hire your 1,000th employee or how to do A, B, or C, you've come to the wrong place. Today is a human-centered conversation where we're going to be talking about community as the new competition, empathy, the importance of authenticity, and living an unapologetic, unstructured life along the path to building a great business. Today I have a new friend who's just across the water, well, just across 2 rivers from me in Basking Ridge, New Jersey, Colleen Joyce. She's the co-founder and CEO of lawyer.com. I know a lot of you either maybe advertise on lawyer.com or you literally just typed in your zip code to go find a lawyer in your local area. Colleen brought that to us many years ago. She has taken a non-direct approach to disrupt the status quo and build an 8-figure business in the process. For the audio listeners who are just listening to this, Colleen is standing, I don't know what she's doing, in her office, and there's a ping pong table with noiseless balls in the background. There's a 3D printer. There's a garden. There's people walking on treadmill. It's a great culture. And she's been doing very important work for the legal industry, and she's got a wonderful law firm, Lawyer Growth Summit coming up in July in Las Vegas, so check that out online. But without further ado, strap in for a good conversation. We're going to be talking about Midwestern missies and serendipity and spontaneity and jewelry and diamonds and so much more. Grab that glass of wine and welcome to another episode of Gratitude Through Hard Times. Welcome, Colleen. Glad to have you.
Thanks for having me, Chris. What an intro. I'm excited for this convo for sure.
Right? It goes downhill from here. No, I'd invite us to talk about the stuff that doesn't get said normally in the public forum, because that's what our listeners come here, to talk about. We may be talking about empathy and community and living an unstructured, serendipitous, and spontaneous, unapologetic life. But folks, this is about innovation, disrupting the status quo, and figuring out how we optimize and build teams to prepare for whatever future comes next. In order to kick off the podcast, we have to start with our signature gratitude question. Now, to all the new listeners and Colleen, we've been asking this signature gratitude question since July 15th, 2015. Long story short, in one of my darkest hours, I invented a bowl of pasta sauce, and I decided to feed it to people to see if it's even good or not. So we hosted a dinner. We worked together to create the meal. We had a shared group experience. A bunch of people that didn't know each other connected. And at 7:47 p.m., now the name of my cult company, we paused and asked a very simple question. Colleen, if you could give credit or thanks to one person in your life that you don't give enough credit or thanks to, or that you've never thought to thank, who would that be?
My co-founder and chairman of lawyer.com is the most humble man you'll ever meet. And very rarely does he get the appreciation and gratitude that he deserves. He took a chance on me a very long time ago. I knew nothing and I was green as the day, right? And he said, sure, I'll give you a chance. And I worked hard, yes. I grind, yes. But it was the opportunity that he gave me day after day that got me to where I am now. And every lesson I've learned, I owe to him.
First of all, what's his name?
Gerry Gorman.
Gerry. Mm-hmm. G or J?
Gerry.
Let's go.
Yeah, for sure. Amazing man. I try so much. He led by example, and I try so much to emulate that as much as I can.
Tell me about the moment where he saw something in you, right? You're green. He took a chance on you. Was this like a in the moment encounter and realization, or was this like over a long period of time and it was like amor fati or destiny, or like what was that thing?
I got lucky. So I just finished a study abroad program in Asia. And I had maybe I was like really excited about getting the new iPhone. And yes, I'm dating myself. But for some reason, I remember in the email exchanges leading up to, hey, would you like an interview? I led with that. And that seemed to work. So I leaned more into that. And I remember I came in, he goes, I'm looking for someone twice a week. Is that okay with you? And I said, sure. We'll see how long that lasts. And, within a couple months, I was, full-time. And again, learning. I got very lucky. In the world, a lot of luck matters.
And what made you be open to saying yes to a part-time opportunity instead of what maybe you might have deemed that you needed to find the perfect 9-to-5 with the perfect package and the 401k and all these kind of things? Like, what made you open to that?
Yeah, I never had a traditional path, right? Like my siblings, my friends, they all really excelled well in school, and that allowed them to go to the next step and said, okay, I'm going to go be a lawyer. I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be an accountant, right? Those were kind of the clear paths. I didn't find anything that truly interested me enough. And at that time, Gerry still runs World Media Group, which is a domain development company. And I really was interested in the internet. And this is like 2007, right? And I thought, wow, this is a whole new industry that is kind of just, it had been around, obviously, because but it provided somebody like myself with the opportunity to do something interesting. Now, in hindsight, I realized that, I worked with true entrepreneurs that were always looking to move quick, pivot. And that's what I truly needed, right? That's where I was able to flourish, because I didn't live well in the box, because the box not made for entrepreneurs.
It's fascinating that you're talking about this. I think, for our listeners that are not too familiar with entrepreneurship as a whole, or investors, or people who run, conglomerates or holding companies, these types of things. It has been said that the best investors and entrepreneurs invest in people, not just a product or an idea. And I think that's so important because in your life, you listeners, you got to spend time developing you, the person, and make someone believe in that. Colleen's saying essentially that someone believed in her when she was green.
Yeah.
And the ideas needed to pivot back and forth really rapid, but they saw something in her, the person. And on the flip side of that, Colleen leaned into doing something part-time just to get in the door because she trusted herself enough that if she just walked in the door even 2 days a week, she was going to build from there.
Absolutely.
I moved to New York City on my 24th birthday with no job, no college degree, one suitcase, living on my buddy's couch in Brooklyn. And some old guy who was 74 gave me a part-time job.
I love that.
And he gave me a job by watching the way I asked questions to a rock. He hired me based on my curiosity and because he saw some of himself in me. And that blossomed him into running his company for 5 years.
Isn't that amazing?
Right?
Wow.
That's why I'm so
incredible.
jacked. And so I think that whoever's listening, maybe if there's young people listening, or if there's people that are looking for the next thing that are listening, just get the foot in the door.
Yeah.
And bet on the fact that you can expand once you're already in. Colleen, if you had to just say a name of someone who's in your life that you could take a chance on more that's green as the day, what's one? And yeah.
Ooh. So we actually just hired 3 new green tech individuals. They sit right there. And yeah, right. Hey guys. I think that answers your question. They're hungry, right? They're green. We're all green. Everyone starts green. That's just how it works, right? But they're hungry, they're motivated, and they want to be part of something. And that is what I think is so important. And that's when they get my full support when you see that.
There's a very important thing of what you just said is they want to be part of something.
Yep.
I think a lot of people right now are accidentally getting more divided than ever before.
Yeah.
They're becoming isolated and because of an algorithm. And with the advent of AI, they're spending a lot of time building alone.
Yep. Absolutely.
And we've lost the ability to believe in something that we're a part of that's bigger than self.
Yeah.
How do you stay committed to that? And what is that for you?
It's a great question. I personally laugh because I view myself very much as an introvert. But if you've met me, they're like, we're wrong. But it's okay to be both. But I thrive on building the community in the office, at home, wherever it may be. That's positive. That's exciting, right? So that people want to be a part of that, right? Because there is a lot of distractions that pull you into your room and you're just working freaking 15, 18 hours a day, whether it's work or playing online, whatever it is. But what I try to do is foster that community so that when you do come into the room, regardless of your personality type, you're going to find a way to fit in.
Beyond the benefits that we can talk about later or on another podcast of the belonging and fitting in, I don't want to talk about that right now. I want to talk about the 15 to 18 hour workday that you just talked about. So I want to quote a few stats to get because we were talking about time to think on the podcast earlier. So studies, Workday is a big HR company. For those that are watching or listening, I'm holding up Workday's Workplace Human Connection Workplace Index, the Human Connection Workplace Index. And in it, they found that 86% of employees believe AI has increased productivity. 43% say that AI has freed up time that they could spend on community and connection, but only 28% are actually using that newfound time on collaboration, networking, team strategy, the culture part of what you need to do to build a thriving company. And that vector, that gap between the 43% freed up, but only 28% using it, there's two principles. Jevons paradox, which states that efficiency gains end up getting replaced by more of the same work, which means if newfound time is freed up, we're just using it to code more and be more efficient and do more of the same work until the wee hours of the morning. And Parkinson's law, invented in 1955, states that work expands to fill the time allocated for it, which means that what used to take us an hour or two as a human now takes multiple hours, because efficiency gains somewhere leads to false busyness and inefficiency elsewhere. So from a time management perspective, how important is it that we be more in touch with how we're spending our time now? And then the follow-up question to that, to be answered after, is what's the important thing about putting community and team culture in to some of those newfound times?
Yeah, so I may not be the person to talk about balance, but that's a choice that I've made, right? So, and again, it may be somewhat privileged to say this, but I love my job, right? I love what I do every day because I get to create something. Every day is truly different. So I don't look at time on the clock being like, of course, there are days that are just like a grind and there's deadlines and there's all that. But in general, I feel very passionate about what I'm doing. And that allows me to not really focus on the time. Now, do I struggle when I go home to be present for my family because I'm too excited about something at work? Yeah, heck, I am so guilty of that. And that's something that I have to work on, right? But again, we have an opportunity to build something, right? And you get so caught up in that excitement and momentum that, you know, I don't have a work-life balance. That just never was what I wanted, right? And everybody's allowed to want different things. So I think it's important to create a culture that allows people to be what they want to be as long as they're producing. Because you also don't want somebody who doesn't want 80 hours a week, right? And then they feel guilty. They feel less than because they're not contributing that much, right? Everybody kind of is allowed to have a space within that culture.
How does that impact, I don't want to go too deep into like promotional strategy, but how does that impact how you promote or what you know, the world of work is changing. And for all our listeners, you're probably rethinking who you promote through your company. You used to maybe just promote based on output, but maybe you're starting to promote on a different variety of factors. Who can be a catalyst across teams, who can galvanize energy. I don't know, like, how are you thinking about that?
Well, right, and who's bringing in new ideas? Because at the end of the day, the workforce really hasn't changed throughout the centuries. You're going to have your A workers, your B workers, and your C workers, right? And there is a space for everybody if they're managed properly, right? Because the last thing you want to do is take a good worker and then bring them down with an average worker. But sometimes there are tedious jobs that have to get done, right? Now, AI is changing that a little bit, yes, but you still have human in the loop right now. So I think it's truly a balance, and you're going to see everybody trying and doing different things, but the people who really want to be promoted and that are very good at their job, they stand out and they make it very known what they want and what their trajectory should be.
Which is interesting because there's a whole generation of people that I believe studies showed some of Gen Z would rather stay in their existing role rather than get promoted and need to learn something new or have more responsibility. Right. And they're willing to sacrifice pay to stay at that existing. It's a funny thing.
But that's a bad thing for us moving forward, right? Like, 20, 30 years from now, we're not going to be in the workforce anymore. That says then these individuals, right, the Gen Z or the Gen Alphas, they're the ones that are going to be driving the economy. And we've got to find a way to course correct that, because you need the people who are willing to grind, right, and work hard and create ideas, because that's what keeps the system moving.
Switching to the way you ended that about willing to grind, one thing that people can say about parts of Gen Z is that they're not willing to grind. They're trying to maybe do less. But you do something really, really well, and it's a form of authenticity, is you balance empathy and accountability, and you balance caring deeply and challenging directly. We live in a world, I believe, where a lot of our genius is going to be untapped because we're not taking the time to tap into it. And here's an example of that. The average human can speak about 90 words a minute. The average human can hear about 150 words a minute. But the average human can think about 400 words a minute. And right now, most of us are just talking in the 90 word per minute range. Most of us are using AI that then just mirrors us in about the 90 word per minute range. And we're losing the social muscles needed to tap into those other 400 or other 310 words that aren't being said. And a mentor of mine says there's no value in what's been said. There's only value in what's been unsaid.
Love that.
And so tell me about this matrix between empathy, accountability, caring deeply, but also challenging directly. We call it inquisitive empathy. It's a form of a tactical skills-based negotiation model. But tell me how you kind of came up with that dialectic and what that means to you.
Yeah, no, I love that. I am who I am, and I lead with love. And it's kind of weird to say that in a business setting, right? Like, I truly care. And maybe that's not a good thing, but it's worked. I care about the people that I work with. I spend 9 hours a day with these people, sitting next to them. How can I not turn to them and say, like, oh, hey, how's your day? Or how's your daughter? How's your son? Like, so for us, and me personally, I've very much struggled with finding that balance because I'm not anyone's friend, right? I'm not here to be your friend, but I do care about you. But I also have to be able to have difficult conversations, have that radical candor with you when things aren't working well. And believe me, I've made so many mistakes when it comes to this. But now, looking back, right, I think that you can have both. I do care about you, and I care about you so much that I have to be honest about your performance or about your trajectory. And I think that from a manager, that is the best way to lead and the best gift that you could give your team.
We have a low tolerance for, I believe in this country, and Jonathan Haidt wrote about it when he talked about the coddling of the American mind. We have a low tolerance for truth and challenge.
Yeah.
But I believe that we have a privilege of living in a great country that is based on innovation and excellence. And we have to uphold, we have to uphold those standards. And that comes from getting the best out of others around us.
Yeah, agreed. I love that.
As a form of generosity and service.
Yeah.
Help them tap into their genius, and you can all win together.
Yeah. It's frustrating when you see somebody's potential, though, and you see where they can go, but they can't get there, right? And I've seen that happen. And it's like, I'm going to ride and champion you, but why aren't you getting there? And that's, again, another struggle I have is when you see that potential and you wish that you could. I can't get them there. They have to get themselves there.
Even if it takes time.
Yeah. Right.
And even if it takes a few failures along the way.
100%.
I mean, I think for all the people that love others that are listening to this call, I think that that, wisdom can't just be taught. It must be earned by getting through hard times. And, tell me about that reaction to that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Right. Listen, there have been times where I can't get out of bed because it's hard, right? Like, there are mistakes that I've made. There are challenges that I've had, and there's no option but to just get up and keep going, right? Like, I could sit here and be fun and bubbly, but that doesn't mean that there hasn't been hardships, right? I just choose to use them as lessons to get to the next stage. And I try to forget and learn from that, but I can't dwell on it because I just wouldn't get out of bed, period.
Yeah. For all the listeners here that might have tuned in because you've convinced yourself you're at your wit's end and you have no other energy to give, and you thought that listening here would hopefully inspire you to come out of that, I want to give you a stern, kind, because I love you awakening. Listening to other people's stories and ideas and experience won't help you get through your hard time. I would argue it's just a distraction from actually doing the work needed to get through whatever you're going through. And I want to give you an act of love and say the fact that you made it here today and that you have the blessing of tuning into the internet in the middle of a work day or whenever you're listening to this, in itself means you've got more energy to give. And so whatever wall your back's up against, you're not at the end yet, friend. You got a lot left to give, and my invitation is to go out and give it.
Fantastic.
Now, before we logged on the call, Colleen, I looked at your necklace you're wearing, and I asked you what it was, and you told me what it was, and then you said the lines, when you wear jewelry, you don't get to see it yourself. I think we wear it for others. And so my question to you is, what are you wearing for others that no longer serves you? And what do you need to start wearing for yourself to truly come alive? And this isn't like a physical wearing stuff. This is, let's go for it.
I think what I have to get rid of is, and I think we talked about this earlier, was grace, right? You need to allow yourself some grace to move on and forgive your past mistakes, right? We live in a startup world here where we move fast, we pivot, we launch products, then we are like, okay, let's change it, right? We bring people on, we try the best we can, but I personally have made a lot of mistakes that haunt me, right, to this day, as I'm sure many of your listeners have also felt that, right? People who have left, maybe people you weren't directly upfront with that you should have been. And I think that you have to allow yourself, I have to allow myself to have some grace in that moment to say, I understand, right? I truly want the best for people and I have made mistakes, but I can't live in that space because it doesn't help anybody. I can use that to make sure that moving forward, it doesn't happen again. So I think that's what I would like to not wear. And when we first met, my favorite thing was the CEO of curiosity, right? What I want to take more on is that curiosity. I want to find time in my day to learn more things, to be more inquisitive, to have conversations like this, and then sit with it and say, okay, great. How can I now apply this into what I'm doing?
What is a topic that you have not given yourself the permission to verbalize that you're curious about?
I always we're getting deep, right? I love it.
Come on.
I often feel that imposter syndrome, right? Like, I worked hard, I've had luck, I got to the position I'm in, but what's next, right? That's the scary part. We're always looking to grow and to build, but what's going to be next for me? What does the future hold? And that's something that I never really allow myself to focus on because it's frightening. Because I just try to live in the now and say, okay, how can I be better? But 10 years from now, AI is going to change a lot of things. What does that look like for me? That's a very, very, very scary thought.
I'd imagine that many of our listeners think more about the future than the now. Mm-hmm. And there's an old Roman Stoic, Seneca, who said we suffer more in imagination than in reality. You and I might have the opposite to be true. Yeah. Is that we live so much in the now that it's hard to dream up a future self-narrative.
Yeah, agreed. You perfectly said. But I don't know what that next step looks like, right? Like, okay, how do you plan out? What does the future look like? Because things change so fast. I move too fast. And I don't know, like, it's not like I was like, hey, I was born to be a doctor, right? I'm born to explore, and I'll go anywhere the wind's going to take me. And it's hard to plan the future when it comes to that.
What do you need to give up a little control over?
Oh man, I'm very controlling.
Me too.
I can't help it. I just like the things that I like. I have to give freedom to people to make mistakes and learn from them and not just jump in and be like, oh, I'm going to do it myself, right? Because the team's not going to grow if I have to, if I can't give control up on certain things, right? Vision, that, I have to, that's a struggle. I'm going to have a laundry list of struggles after this, just so. If anyone's keeping score, you can call me.
I love it. You are very unapologetic and you love to love on people. Mm-hmm. And you believe that community is the new competition. Mm-hmm. Tell me about that.
Yeah, it was interesting. I am a strong believer. You're better to have a small piece of a big pie than want a small pie, right? I don't want to be part of anything small, right? I want to be part of something big and amazing, even if it's a tiny, tiny, tiny sliver. So when we talk about how competition is the new collaboration, it's because it is, right? We live in a world, whether it's any industry, where you actually can learn a lot from your adversary, whatever it is that you want to call it, right? Hey, listen, how can we team up together? How can we work together? Every day I work with our competitors, and I'm fine with that. You know how many AI call answering centers there are? There are 1 million. And when the AI boom hit, I thought, holy cow, what are we going to do? We built a call center for lawyers. We are screwed. And then I kind of sat with it, right? Let them do it, right? Let's learn from them. Let's call them. Hey, what do you have that we don't have? How can we collaborate? How can we roll together and be the best? And I think that's truly what that means. And, we have this conference coming up, and I'm bringing together a group of lawyers that don't like each other, right? Because they are cutthroat competitors. And I've had people say, well, if they're going to be there, I can't come. And I respect that. 100%. That is your decision. However, there could be something that you can learn that then helps you. And nobody knows your business like your competitor. Now, of course, there's the bad apples out there. That's just, that goes without being said, right? The cheaters, the liars, the stealers. But the majority of people want to learn and want to grow together.
Shout out to my mentor, Ryan Estes, who once taught me the power of aspirational competitors. Find who's doing... Folks, if you're watching this, please listen to what I'm saying. You aren't doing anything so net new that the world's never seen before.
So true.
Which means that should give you permission to go out and learn what other people have done that's worked and then do that in a new way.
Yeah, 100%.
Or what's not worked and figure out a new way to do it. Yep. And so figure out, if you're watching this, figure out how to stay as close to your aspirational competitors as humanly possible. To figure out the people that are 2 or 3 steps ahead of you, figure out what they did. And then figure out what the people alongside of you are doing. And then figure out what the up-and-comers are bringing up that are fresh new ideas. Oh, yeah.
I love that.
But it's interesting. You have to have a positive mental attitude, an attitude of abundance. You even wrote, I believe, somewhere that so many of the businesses that you've built, or so many industries, especially law and business, have been built on the idea that success is scarce. Mm-hmm. That if someone wins, you lose. That mindset creates isolation and burnout and unnecessary barriers to growth. And you've seen that the opposite is true. Mm-hmm. When you have abundance and you build partnerships, everyone rises faster together. There's a word called Ubuntu. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. What do you do to actually believe that to be true? A mindset of abundance, a heart at peace, not war. What do you actually do to make sure you show up in the world like that?
I think you have to just take action, right? Small baby steps, right? Whatever that may be. You can't take a big task on at a time. So working with a competitor. Hey, can we have a chat? Hey, tell me about your product. Hey, do you guys want to do a white paper together? Right? Little tiny baby steps make a big difference. And you know what? If they say no, good. Okay. Well, hey, listen, next time we're at a conference, love to say hi, grab a cup of coffee. Just that little small touch, putting yourself out there, being able to handle rejection, which you learn in the world. I think that's what gets you closer and closer to those abundance steps.
Love it. Love it. I mean, the folks that are listening, I know that some of you are going through a really hard time. And when hard times happen, you believe that it's better to take rather than give. It's better to be scarce rather than abundant. You're just thinking about the short term instead of the long term. I would encourage you to figure out how to create space on your calendar, whether it's through serendipity and spontaneity or just actually put time on your calendar to think about the long term, to think about ways that you can give, to think about, how you can step into abundance. Giving has been one of the greatest privileges of my career. Just our last Rolling Stone article that just came out last week was about something me and someone on my team, Jack, call give maxing. Gather people, ask good questions, give gratitude. You do those three things, you'll get through whatever hard time you're going through.
I love that. We're having a discussion at our conference, and the panel is growth maxing, right? I love it.
Of course. That'll attract the Gen Z.
Yeah, exactly.
Colleen, if Gerry was on this call here today, and you could directly thank him, what would you say?
And I do try as much as I can. I would say thank you for the opportunity. You believed in me when I never believed in myself. You saw something in me I never thought was possible. And I don't think I would be here without that support.
Cheers to Gerry. Any last words in closing?
This was amazing. I've got a lot to work on, which I like. I like having these conversations. I think we all can improve and grow, and being honest with ourselves and being held accountable like this, I think, is a great step.
What's one small thing we can hold you accountable to do different tomorrow?
I'm going to go home and put my phone in, maybe the other room for an hour. I'm going to try.
It's a start.
It is. Listen, baby steps, maybe a half hour. Let's be honest.
Good. What will you do during that time?
That's a good question. Maybe we'll go out for a walk or a run or, we usually do, but I have my phone. So we're going to do activities sans devices, which is, it's just the world we live in. So.
Holy moly. Well, Colleen, thank you for coming on. We did not talk about the Midwestern Missies. We did not talk about a couple other topics that we talked about before this call, so we'll have to have part 2 coming up here soon. To all our listeners, thanks for tuning in. Right? I don't know who sent you this episode or how you Googled getting to today's episode, but to all our new listeners, I hope you found permission to maybe live a little bit more unapologetic and authentic yourself tomorrow. Go hang out with the people you hate. Learn from them. Yeah. Challenge them. Go out and hang out with your competition. Take their playbook. Co-create something together. Build something bigger and better. I hope that you all know that you are put on this earth to do something that's important, but every now and then you just got to slow down long enough to listen to what's going on inside and find that inner genius and bring it to light. And you're not going to find that in AI. You're not going to find that in listening to someone else's podcast. Go fail at something. Go ask a really hard question. Go sit alone with your thoughts, and you'll find you will get ahead faster and farther than outsourcing your inspiration to others' content. With that being said, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoy this podcast. Click that subscribe button and, join us for our journey. If you're craving community and you're in the legal industry, Go look up what they're doing with the Lawyer Growth Summit in Las Vegas in July. Look, if you're craving community, I know it's a lonely world out there as as a managing partner at a law firm. Go check them out. Go check out everything they're doing. More of those links will be in the show notes below. But cheers to taking a non-linear path to get here. You can't connect the dots looking forward, but you can always connect the dots looking backwards. And gratitude is a tool for you all to do that. So thanks for tuning in. Hope you're having a phenomenal day on Earth. Remember, folks, it's your world. Go explore. See you next episode.